Hi everyone, so my name is Naveen and I'm going to be talking about what are the laws about sex in regard to Illinois. So sexual assault is defined in Illinois as any unwanted sexual activity that involves any type of penetration by any body part or foreign object through force or the threat of force. So when we talk about penetration, penetration can be also in the slightest bit of penetration. So any kind of nudge or movement that counts as penetration. So that's what sexual assault is. So it's any unwanted sexual activity that involves penetration. When we talk about sexual abuse, it is defined in Illinois as any unwanted sexual touching, either directly or through clothing, which does not include penetration, and is done through force or the threat of force. So the main difference between the two is sexual assault involves penetration, and sexual abuse does not involve penetration. So these are all the other types of sexual assaults or sexual harassments. I'm not going to go through all these, right now. These are written on the document, but there's also access to the document online. One thing I want to cover is consent. So consent implies a question being asked and answer to be given in return. To consent to something is to freely agree to participate or engage in sexual activity. Consent is also compliance to something that is proposed. So in a nutshell, consent is basically you're asking someone for their permission to do something, and they have to say yes or they have to say no. So that way you get a response in that. If you look at the bottom, these are just some kind of services that we provide as like Rights Center in regards to experiencing sexual violence. If you look at this first bullet point over here, it says that anyone between the ages of 12 and up, they get 8 free counseling sessions before parental consent is needed. So anyone above the ages of 12 and up, they get 8 free counseling sessions. Anyone who is above the age of 17 and up, they do not need parental consent at all. And we also have a 24/7 support line, which is the number right down on the screen, just in case if you want to talk to somebody who is a mandated reporter. And we also offer medical and court advocacy programs. So right here we have a table that talks about the rights of consent. I'm not going to go into this table in complete detail, but just know that on the top left side, these are just the categories. And if you look across, there are going to be different age groups. So one thing that's important to inform is that for law enforcement, they can notify parents. If the child is between the ages of 13 and 17, the law enforcement is allowed to notify parents. Once the person reaches above the age of 18, they're not required to notify the parents. So that's for law enforcement. And all these other categories here show whether with the age of 12 and under, the parents are notified, 13 and 17, 18 and over, and adults with disabilities. When we talk about the age of consent in the state of Illinois, it is written in black and white what is the age of consent. So in the state of Illinois, the age of consent is 17. So I'm going to say that one more time. In Illinois, the age of consent is 17. We do not have the Romeo and Juliet law like we do in Wisconsin. If you don't know what that Romeo and Juliet law is, it is where any two minors can have consensual sex with each other, and that law will protect them from doing so. But in Illinois, we do not have the Romeo and Juliet law. It is the age of consent is 17. Now that's end of story, bottom line. It is not 16, it is not 15, it is 17 is consent. And then one thing I would like to mention is the difference between sexting and revenge porn. So if you look at the table right over here, it says these are illegal for people 18 and over in Illinois. They cannot ask a minor for nudes, so anyone under the age of 17. They cannot be sending nudes of anyone to a minor, sharing nudes to a minor with anyone, taking nudes of a minor, or possessing nudes of a minor. So the law requires that you delete within a sufficient time, and sharing nudes to a minor across state lines. So these are just some of the differences between sexting and revenge porn. So this is just one bullet point that I like to. There are two bullet points I like to say here is that revenge porn is a non-consensual sharing of someone else's nudes. So revenge porn is a non-consensual sharing of someone else's nudes. And Illinois has the strictest revenge porn law in the country. So it requires no proof of malicious intent. The only thing that matters is that person nude a minor? If yes, it is illegal. Do you have permission to share the nude? No, then it is revenge porn. So these are stated pretty clearly as to what each of these are. And I'm going to reiterate one more time that in the state of Illinois, the age of consent is 17. And yeah, that's all I have to share.